Howdy, 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 my name is Anashi Sasuke, and welcome back to Let's Read the SP Foundation Wiki. In the last episode, we read about a lonely dude, a spider, a nightclub that was deadly, a comic book that wasn't that bad, and a cargo ship that was absolutely uncomfortable. This episode we're going to start with more uncomfortable with soporific bed bugs, Burning Man, the never-ending pizza box, which sounds pretty awesome unless the box is never-ending and not the pizza, the interplanetary thermostat, and the Seance Storm. So it sounds like it's going to be pretty up there as far as interesting things go. So let's start with the itchy one. Ugh. The SCP-456 colony is to be kept in a sealed containment room. Personnel entering the containment area should wear a level 1 biohazard suits to avoid being bitten by 456, and the suits must be treated with insecticide upon leaving the enclosure. When not being used in any experiments, 456 must be fed 70 milliliters of human or animal blood per 100 insects weekly. 456 is a variety of the common bedbug, Simex lectularius. In addition to an anticoagulant, it injects data expunge when biting its host, causing the brain to produce adenosine, endorphins, and a narcotic identified as an analog of fentanyl. As a result, the victims experience increasing euphoria and somnolence, as the number of insects increases, eventually sleeping 24 hours a day. 456 was identified after a number of individuals were found dead in their homes suffering from varying degrees of malnutrition, blood loss, and narcotics toxicity. It continues to be a problem in the wild. To reduce the number of infestations, the CDC has issued a false report that bedbugs carry malaria and must be exterminated when found. Addendum: 4 disposable dudes were requisitioned for exposure to 456 to determine long-term effects. Experiment 1. Disposable 17514 exposed to 456 and fed standard rations but given no other special treatment. After 17 days of exposure, they slept constantly and was unable to care for himself. Expired from malnutrition blank days later. Experiment 2. 515 exposed, fed intravenously when unable to care for herself. Expired from blood loss blank days later. 516 exposed to 456, fed intravenously and given periodic blood transfusions. Expired from narcotic overdose and blank days. 517 exposed, fed intravenously and given periodic blood transfusions in addition to small doses of a narcotic antagonist. Survived for blank 100 days and was supporting a colony of blank 1,000 insects at the conclusion of experiment. 517 remanded for amnestic treatment and reassignment on blank blank blank. Addendum: Mobile Task Force 73 has investigated a report that a drug cartel located in blank, Mexico is kidnapping members of the public, breeding 456, and extracting the narcotics produced by the victims. Anyone found to be using 456 in this manner is to be terminated. So, some of these words I'm not sure what they are, so let's first check this. Oh. Fentanyl. An opioid which uses a pain medication and together with other medication for anesthesia. It has a rapid onset and effects generally last less than an hour or two. Available in a number of forms including injection, a skin patch, and to be absorbed through the tissues. And it has a high risk of... Wait, is this the thing that killed Prince and Michael Jackson? This is the thing that killed Prince and Michael Jackson! Oh! So it is fentanyl, for some reason. Okay. What was the other one? This, somnolence, or whatever, somnolence. Alternatively, sleepiness or drowsiness is a state of strong desire for sleep or sleeping for unusually long periods. Compare hypersomnia. Why didn't they just say tired? Experiencing euphoria and drowsiness. Could have said drowsiness. Didn't need to say somnolence. You could have just said drowsiness. That's what it is. Drowsiness. Scientists, man. Yeah. Now it's time for the Burning Man. Is it the Burning Man from, like, the concert, or is it the Burning Man from the Nick Cage movie, or is it... Yep. It's the Burning Man from Metal Gear Solid 5. Okay, SCP-457 is to be kept in a 5x5 meter chamber with no less than 9 inches of fireproofing by various materials, asbestos cement, perlite boards, upon all surfaces, and a blast-proof observation window with emergency blast shielding installed. The opening to the chamber must consist of at least 2 temperature-controlled and airtight chambers that may be sealed in case of emergency. 457's chamber should be kept at high humidity with a drainage system installed on the floor, as well as a misting sprinkler system installed and running constantly, and emergency hoses capable of at least 2.51 MPa. What did I get 5 from? 2.1 MPa, 300 psi of water pressure. What kind of measurement is that? Why didn't they just say psi? The Master of Public Administration is a professional postgraduate degree in public administration. There we go. A megapascal. Okay. It's the SI unit for pressure. 1 megapascal equals 1 million pascals. Primarily used for higher range pressure measurement due to its larger value, e.g. 1 MPa equals 10 bar. The MPa is mainly used to describe the pressure ranges and ratings of hydraulic systems. But if you're still going to say how much psi it is, much like the somnolence, why not just say this one? It's already right there! Anyway, 457 is allowed a small structure upon the wall of its chamber that remains water-free, but only allows for minimal protection and preservation of form. All personnel entering 457's chamber should be wearing at least Class A temperature-controlled flame-retardant sealed suits, and enter in groups of 3, with 2 members equipped with high-grade blast shields and emergency fire extinguishers. Personnel should only enter 457's chamber in order to supply it with its daily allotment of fuel material, or to examine and repair any damage to the chamber or sprinkler systems. Should it engage personnel in a hostile manner, it is to be controlled via emergency extinguishers and hoses until it retreats back to its safe chamber. In the event that it breaks containment, emergency sprinkler systems will be triggered and personnel will be supplied with extinguishers and blast shielding. Okay. SCP-457 appears to be a sentient being composed of flame. Its actual composition is unknown and has proven to be invisible and undetectable by any known means, but it is shaped out of the flames it produces, often assuming a human-like form if given sufficient fuel to assume that size. Its most rudimentary form appears to be that of a single flame, comparable in size to that of a matchstick. In this form, it possesses only the simplest of directives and shows no signs of being unusual compared to any other flame beyond a penchant for suddenly flickering to burn human hands, and the ability to jump to more flammable materials or other flames, which it then assimilates into its total form. As it grows larger, it is able to assume more complex shapes, and its intelligence grows with size and fuel sources. 457's method of intelligence is unknown, but upon reaching an approximately human size, it almost always assumes a human-like form surrounded by and composed of flames. 457 has been observed to communicate through writing letters out of its flames, charring them onto the wall or other surfaces, and more rarely through speech, created via high-pressure superheated air and the crackling of pops of flames. Once 457 reaches an unknown threshold of size and fuel source, it splits into 2 beings, and so on and so forth. However, multiple beings of 457 are aggressive towards each other and will either attempt to consume or extinguish their doubles, especially if there's only a limited amount of fuel at hand. 457's behavior is largely predictable, as its goals are simply to acquire larger sources of fuel and to spread. The danger of 457 comes from its ability to increase intelligence with size and apparent ability to learn and mimic behaviors. This has led to it purposely damaging and sabotaging sprinkler systems and, in rare circumstances, set up relatively complex traps. It has also attempted to trick or reason with personnel to be released or have access to more fuel. Due to 457's unique composition, variable intelligence, and uncooperative nature, its psychology may not be accurately determined in accordance with human analogy. 457 was recovered in blankety-blank in the summer of 2007 after multiple wildfires were attributed to it, so probably California. It is unknown where or how 457 initially formed. Investigation into the potential of 457 being responsible for other major fires is underway. And here is a picture of it attacking a forest prior to capture. Note increased size. Photograph taken briefly before data expunged. And here's an interview between Dr. Somebody and the SCP. Can you speak currently? Yes. Good. Would you mind answering some questions? I'll take that as a no. How do you feel about being confined? Dislike. No fuel. No air. We've provided you with adequate air and fuel to survive. Cannot burn. No fuel. Are you saying that you cannot grow? Grow. Need. Must grow. Moves about the containment area as if searching. How do you feel? Hungry. Do you feel anything besides hunger? No answer. 457 approaches blast shielding, separating it from the doctor. How do you feel about humans? They burn. 457 moves closer to blast shielding, appearing to examine the window and the doctor. How do you feel about fuel? It burns. 457 places a hand upon the blast shielding to no effect. Please move away from the window or we'll be forced to reduce your size considerably. No signs of no reply or signs of understanding. Does not move. How do you feel about water? Emits a high-pitched scream of superheated air and presses body against blast shielding. Please move away from the window or we will be forced to turn the sprinklers back on. Backs away from the window, still screaming, hissing, and snapping. Do you understand that? Stay away from the window and you will not be doused. Quiets and remains still for several seconds before approaching the window again, stopping several feet away. Do you understand? Want fuel. Want air. Want burn. Want to burn. Want to burn. Want to burn! Repeats self, growing louder and beginning to move about containment area rapidly, apparently searching for walls and ceiling for a way out. There's not a way out. If you would please... What is it doing? Is it looking for a way out? At this point in the interview, 457 managed to severely damage much of the sprinkler system and destroy a portion of the fuel injector that had been sustaining its intelligent form, giving it free access to several gallons of gasoline. The interview transcript was recovered via security footage from before the blast. 457's temporary breach of containment came from an exploitation of the sealant used to attach the blast shielding to the rest of the chamber. How 457 managed to learn of and exploit this weakness is unknown, as it has since been moved to a higher security chamber. Addendum 2. Was that Addendum 1? Okay. Due to the excessive resource requirements for keeping 457 contained, locating a permanent renewable fuel source is currently a high priority. Proposals so far include, but are not limited to, use of starch dust obtained from SCP-1689 potatoes, or use of 124 to rapidly produce sources of biofuel. Approval of one or more of these proposals pending review. What's 124 again? It is a pit. Oh, is this the dirt that can grow anything? Is the dirt that can grow anything perfectly? I think it is. Let's just browse up real quick to double check. 124, fertile soil. Okay. Next up is the never-ending pizza box. It's safe, and it's Little Caesars. Okay, cool. But once again, is the box never-ending, or is the pizza never-ending? Let's find out. 458 is considered safe and therefore is to be stored in the staff canteen at Site 17 with no access restrictions required. I'm going to take that to mean the pizza is infinite. SCP-458 is a large-sized pizza box from the pizza chain Little Caesars, of their hot and ready variety. It is made of simple cardboard, measures 25.4 centimeters by 25.4 centimeters by 2.54 centimeters, 10 by 10 by 1 inches, and weighs about 20 to 20.49 grams depending on the toppings. As a result of the unusual nature of 458, measurement of weight is inconsistent. What makes it an oddity is that while appearing to be an ordinary pizza box, when it comes into contact with human hands, it instantaneously replicates within it the holder's subconsciously preferred choice of pizza, down to the favorite sauce, cheese, crust, and topping. It is not limited to the Little Caesars brand, as pizza from all major pizza chains, as well as local and even handmade pizzas, have been produced. There seems to be no limit to its ability, except that it cannot make anything but pizza, and its toppings must be edible by normal human standards, see Addendum 1A. The box is also rather indestructible, as all attempts to destroy or dismantle the box have proven fruitless. It is assumed that the box is semi-sentient, having at least enough telepathic or empathetic ability to sense what the holder's personal choices regarding pizza are. After constant testing showed 458's seemingly infinite power to generate pizza, but with little other use, it has henceforth been placed inside the canteen at Site 17 for free use by personnel. After its open usage has been allowed, personnel morale has shown to be sharply increased. Because pizza is just that great. Addendum 1A. Upon testing 458 with SCP blank, the subject took a bite of the slice, which appeared to be a garlic-free slice of sausage and olive pizza on wheat crust. This was met with the response, "It's a fine slice, but I would have preferred a different sauce." It was inferred that the box cannot use substances that are indigestible by regular human bodies. Further testing confirmed this. I wonder which SCP that was that it can talk and doesn't eat what the humans eat. Please see document 458-1A. Well, oh, okay. I would like to remind all staff that just because we have a pizza box that can constantly create pizzas for you does not mean that you can just sit around and eat pizza all afternoon. If continued abuse of the box continues, coupled with reports of personnel gaining unhealthy amounts of weight, I may be forced to implement a mandatory physical training regimen following lunch hours. Dr. Del Marino. I feel like that name might be a pizza reference. Let me check that. Pizza? Marino's Pizzeria, Bear, Delaware. Well, that was kinda right. Anyway, document 458-1B. For simple curiosity's sake, and to perhaps get a better idea of the mindset of certain SCPs, I've compiled a list of sentient SCP's reactions when holding the box. SCP-40, small extra cheese stuffed crust. And what was that one? A Caucasian female, 8 years old. Is this the one with no eyes? Or no eyelids? SCP-56, medium, sliced bell peppers, thin crust, Alfredo sauce. SCP-73, medium, feta and jack cheese, no sauce, thin crust. Almost immediately after opening 458, the produced pizza began to go through synthesis similar to other organic material within 73's effect radius. Experiment was retired when the pizza being moved from 458 immediately after its opening, with minor deterioration present. When queried by researchers, 73 stated it had never ingested products created by 458. What did Abel want? Large, meatballs, pepperoni, bacon, Canadian bacon, sausage, hamburger, thick crust. Iris liked small with olives, wheat crust, and thin. 1081, large pepperoni, thick crust. Wait a minute. What was 108 again? Oh, it's that lady with the bunker in her nose. 138, small onions, anchovies, olives, thin crust. 181, large pepperoni, sausage, marinara stuffed crust. 181 was told that this was a reward for good behavior and that it was a lucky guess that it was his favorite type of pizza. And who was 181? Anyway, 182, medium, olives, mushrooms, pretzel dough crust. And 182 was Caucasian male, 45, heavy abdominal, passive. Oh, that one. Further testing on SCPs may reveal some odd characteristics about the SCPs themselves and is suggested. Update, further cross-testing is permitted but requires approval and supervision due to safety concerns. I want to see more testing with, like, other SCPs getting pizza. Like, I want to see what happens if the SCPs that aren't humanoid are given pizza. Like, specifically, I want to know what kind of pizza SCP-682 would want. But it has to be human hands, so that wouldn't work. Unless they give it, like, little... I don't know. They could see what, Lilith and God would want. And, I was gonna say that one SCP was actually one of the Horsemen of the Apocalypse, but... for what they do to that one, I don't think she's going to get pizza. She probably should get pizza, but she's not going to get pizza. There's a whole thing about the apocalypse that I'm pretty sure does not include her getting pizza. Anyway, interplanetary thermostat. SCP-459 is to be kept unpowered in standard security locker. The access code is to be changed bi-weekly and known to level 3 or higher personnel. Used to say, removal for testing purposes must be requested at least 1 week in advance and approved by level 4 personnel. Now it says, as of April 15th, 2000-something, testing has been indefinitely suspended. Proposals for use should be directed to 05 level personnel. And here's a picture of its effects with Dr. Blank and Blank and Disposable Somebody. I like how there's little bars over their faces if I could even see their faces. SCP-459 appears to be a standard home thermostat. The item is equipped with a small display, 4 buttons, and 2 dials on either side of the screen. The 2 buttons on the right side raise and lower temperature, and the other 2 appear to affect relative humidity in the area. However, these buttons will only work when both dials are set to the off position. The left dial, dial 1, is marked with several standard weather conditions including rain, snow, and data expunged. I wonder what that is if it's not. It says standard, but then it's a data expunged. The 4th and 5th positions lettering has worn off and have been marked 4 and 5. Now it says the 4th and 5th positions have been respectively designated T-Storm and Hurricane. The right dial, dial 2, has blank different settings, all of which are unmarked. The rightmost position on each dial are the off positions. 459 can, when wired to a heating and cooling system, modify weather patterns in addition to temperature and humidity. The area of effect appears to be about 1,500 square feet, about 457 miles squared, or meters squared? Whatever. The same amount as a modest home. How these effects are produced is currently unknown, as site-wide heating and cooling systems show no abnormalities in the area, even if the temperature is significantly different. Recent testing may suggest that 459 can access resources from other planets and possibly other dimensions. Addendum 1. 459 was discovered in a suburban home in Blankety Blank after reports from neighbors of loud noises and bright flashes at night. Authorities' first attempts to investigate resulted in redacted, attracting the Foundation's attention. A group of agents with standard protection gear cut power to the house and proceeded to retrieve 459 without incident, wherein all agents returned to Site Blank with the device. The bodies are redacted, the occupants of the home were recovered as well. Cause of death is officially listed as a gas leak. It was probably lightning. Pre-testing note, the default settings are 20 degrees Celsius and 50 degrees of relative humidity. And how much is that in American speak? Because we have Fahrenheit, unlike the rest of the world. That is 68 degrees. That's not that bad. Name, Dr. Blank. Test, date, March 16th, 2000 something. Dial 1, snow. After 127 seconds, rain began to fall in the testing area. Temperature indicated by 459 is confirmed. Weather cleared after 20 minutes. I thought it would decrease the temperature. Well, I was half right. This is functionally ordinary weather and follows the same rules. Same day. A temperature setting 23, 75%, dial 1, 4. After 47 seconds, dark clouds began to coalesce, followed by moderate rain and occasional thunder. Wind speed inside the test chamber peaked at 67 kilometers per hour. Weather cleared after 34 minutes. Nothing particularly unusual, though. Maybe we should have some weather gear close by next time we test this thing. Same day. 5. At first, outcome appeared identical to second test, but 7 minutes after activation, weather conditions began to sharply deteriorate, with heavy rains and winds reaching up to 162 km per hour, followed by redacted. Weather took over 2 hours to clear up, site-wide brownouts reported. Let's not try that again. While watching a handful of sopping wet research being blown around a test chamber is, in retrospect, hilarious, my assistant getting electrocuted and the risk of site-wide containment failure put a bit of a damper on the whole thing. About a week later, week and some change, 8 days, leftmost position. After 5 minutes of inactivity, the doctor exited the test chamber due to a spontaneous nosebleed. At 7 minutes and 32 seconds after activation, a breeze began to blow throughout the room, increasing in speed very rapidly, after which the view was obscured by large amounts of unidentified red material. Data expunged, sensors clocked the wind speed at 428 kilometers per hour before they were destroyed. Data expunged entire East Wing lockdown. Weather did not subside for a week after the incident, and further testing was suspended until the test chamber could be fully inspected and repaired. The inspection of the chamber showed large quantities of ammonia, hydrogen sulfide, and other chemical compounds known to make up Jupiter's atmosphere. He probably said, "What the fuck was that? What was that? The fucking red spot?" Or he probably didn't curse. He probably said the name of whatever the red spot on Jupiter is called. So, dial 2 at the leftmost position spawns the red spot from Jupiter. April 15th, 2000 something. 1 turn from leftmost position. Results. D-class personnel adjusted the device accordingly. After 742 seconds, data expunged. All further testing suspended indefinitely. Notes. It took 3 weeks to get the thing back, but it's completely undamaged. It's possible we could use this thing to help recreate natural environments for certain Earth-native animal SCPs. It sounds like the thing disappeared. Like teleportation. Oh. And that just brings us up to the Seance Storm, which is Euclid, and freaky looking. SCP-460 is to be tracked and observed by Mobile Task Force ME-13, while containing any serious incidents as they occur. All relevant information is to be transmitted, encrypted, and backed up at Site-19. During any major ectoplasmic event, all personnel are to evacuate a minimum of 5 miles from 460's current location. Okay. SCP-460 is a free-floating mass of cumulonimbus, I haven't had to say that in a long time, with an average diameter of 3.5 kilometers. Normally, 460 takes the form of a large ring, and is unaffected by standard meteorological conditions that a cloud of its shape and size would be. The composition of the cloud itself is typical, with frozen water, H2O, making up 98.7%. However, the remaining 1.3% of the cloud consists of a highly active form of ectoplasm, which lends to 460's unique properties. Typically, it is dormant, floating at a speed generally relative to the current wind speed of the surrounding area. Occasionally, 460 will halt its movement, usually over an area of moderate population. Once completely stationary, the ectoplasm of 460 will condense and fall as a viscous rain, causing the spirits of the recently dead to manifest in a physical form as ghosts. This rain occurs as a light shower after the main downpour, with only intermittent pauses. Normally, only subjects who have died within the last year will manifest, but on the rare exception, with only rare exception. Of note is that not only humans are capable of returning as a ghost, but also all sentient life that possesses a purpose for their manifestation. Spirits that manifest in this have complete autonomy while 460 remains stationary, and will revert back to whatever nature they possessed in life. The actual manifestation, however, varies on a case-by-case basis. Most subjects who return from a non-violent death are also often passive and appear much like they did in life. Variations occur mostly among the spirits of those who suffered a violent end, with many crimes such as murder and rape manifesting as ghostly avatars of justice. It should be noted that deaths caused as a result of 460 would result in further manifestation. Over time, the ectoplasm making up individual manifestations will evaporate and rise back up to the main body of 460. This may take anywhere from several days to a few weeks depending on the temperature and general humidity of the area. Once 460 starts moving again, any remaining manifestations are instantly vaporized and the cycle starts over. After becoming mobile, 460 will wander for an indeterminate amount of time with no pattern or common habits. Discovered in Blank near Siberia, where reports of a literal ghost town had begun to circulate into the press at large. The number of ectoplasmic manifestations caused by the long-term stay of 460 was overwhelming, and due to the violent nature of the now discontented spirits, a large military operation was required to secure the area. The surviving personnel now make up what is known as Mobile Task Force MU-13, aka Ghostbusters. 460 was immediately classified as a Keter-class SCP, with all research diverted into predicting its movements to avoid further incidents. Addendum: due to the outcome, or lack thereof, of Incident B and C, item has been reclassified as Euclid. Observation Log 460-A. All relevant reports from MU-13 are to be cataloged and formatted as follows. Subject: Amy Glasgow, formerly a housemaker and a mother of 3. Date of death, location, auto accident. Comparison to pre-death records show little difference in appearance due to manifestation. Subject returned to former home, reconciled with husband and children. First noted case of premature dematerialization a week before standard evaporation. Subject: Richard Bellington, formerly a dock supervisor with ties to organized crime. He was in New Jersey. He died from drowning. The overall manifestation resembled the subject, but his clothing had changed from a former work attire to old-fashioned black and white prison uniform, replete with a ball and chain around the left ankle. Subject observed going to a local police station and attempting to provide testimony to indict a local crime boss. Status of this investigation is ongoing, dematerialized normally. Alexander Daskovic, formerly an owner of a local bar, Russia, died from cerebral trauma. Manifestation resembled a monstrously strong version of the subject, demonstrating extremely aggressive behavior. Involved in an attack on owners of his former bar, leading to an immediate death due to extreme trauma. 2 other deaths resulted after a fire inside the bar consumed the building. The cause of the fire is still unknown, dematerialized shortly after. Kong Mu Shen, formerly a police officer in something province, China, heart attack. Death occurred while 460 was in the area. Subject attempted to apprehend a manifestation which promptly revealed his true nature. Cardiac arrest as a result of stress followed. Subject manifested normally and after initial confusion proceeded to operate as a law enforcement officer until dematerialization. Subject: Alex Grawl, formerly a notorious serial killer. Note: death occurred 7 years before manifestation. Germany. He was shot to death. No resemblance to subject before death, resembled a twisted, disturbing interpretation of a Norse troll. Manifested at place of death, a hotel where the subject had been gunned down by law enforcement. Proceeded to murder and partially cannibalize most of the hotel's patronage and staff. Neutralized and dematerialized shortly after by the Ghostbusters. First case of manifestation of a long-dead subject. James Strather, formerly a noted spiritual medium. Cause of death data expunged. They appeared incredibly vindicated, with his immediate action after manifesting being to inform every single one of his critics of this fact. They materialized early, the first example of living beings beings able to influence manifested spirits on the physical plane. Okay, so what that says to me is, he didn't just dematerialize early, because his first example of living beings able to manifest, or influence the manifested spirits, it sounds like they got sick of him and killed him. Again. Spot, formerly a domesticated canine. Date of death unknown in Ireland, cause of death unknown. So it appeared to be a manifestation of a mixed breed dog of unverifiable heritage, wearing a small collar engraved with the name Spot. Upon contact with the Ghostbusters, subject interacted playfully with several task force members. Subject followed the Ghostbusters during the entirety of the session, dematerialized normally to the dismay of the Ghostbusters, who had grown fond of its company. That last one was adorable compared to the serial killer. So, Seance Storm. That was a much nicer ending than the last episode, because the last episode was just like 20 straight minutes of terror. So, this has been Anashi Sasuke. This is episode 102 of Let's Read the SP Foundation Wiki. And the next one we're going to start with Ziku TV. And we're going to go up through the Party in a Box, which sounds fun but might be terrifying. For all I know, it's made by the freaking factory. So, thanks again for watching. If you liked it, a like and a subscribe will be groovy. If you didn't, you need to do either one of those things. And I will see y'all in the next one. Later.